The Dershow.
Can the President of the United States, absent legislative action to the contrary, can the President of the United States say no foreigners coming into the country to study? We don't have enough room for foreigners. We want to make sure every seat at Harvard and Yale and NYU and the University of Florida and the University of California, every seat is taken by an American citizen. Does the president have a right to do that? Does the government have the right to do that? And the answer is yes. The government has the right to do that. There's no constitutional right for any foreign student to study in the United States. Now, foreign students contribute a lot to our country. Many foreign students have developed important scientific innovations, and as a matter of policy, we probably do want foreign students. Do we want 30% of Harvard to be foreign students? No, we don't. I don't. Having been associated with Harvard for 60 years, I don't see any reason why 30%. If it was 30% on a pure meritocracy, okay. I don't think that's the case. I don't think we're picking 30% of the students at Harvard on pure meritocracy. I think they probably have some kind of a quota or target for how many foreign students they have, because foreign students pay full fare. They don't have any scholarships. They get support from their countries. Sometimes they get additional support from countries like Qatar. So when we're talking about 30%, it's not like the statistic, for example, that 25% of students at Harvard when I was teaching there were Jewish. That was only because of meritocracy. In fact, there was never any discrimination in favor of Jews. Probably there was some, even during the golden period, there was some discrimination against Jews because people thought there were too many. But the reason it was 25% Jews was not because the school wanted more Jews like they want more foreign students. It's because by meritocratic admissions, that's the percentage that emerged. That all changed with DEI and race-based affirmative action and all the things that have now been declared unconstitutional. And the number of white accepted students went down dramatically, and disproportionately the number of Jewish students went down as well. But I think there are too many foreign students at Harvard University and probably at other major American universities. I'm not suggesting a quota, but I'm suggesting meritocracy. Let foreign students compete with American students on the basis of objective meritocratic criteria, and let the chips fall where they may. You know, when the Harvard lawsuit was brought against Harvard, the one that Harvard lost, I told Harvard it would lose. They listened to Larry Tribe. They listened to other professors. I predicted it right. I said Harvard would lose. One of the arguments that was made in favor of having race-based affirmative action is if you don't, too many students will be Asian. And that's why the lawsuit was brought by Asian students. And they were able to prove without a doubt that an Asian student with a very high SAT and very high scores had a much lower chance of getting into the law school than an African-American student with much lower scores and much lower tests and averages. So that was the basis for the lawsuit, and empirically that was pretty easy to show. Harvard tried to doctor some of the statistics. It didn't work. I knew right from the beginning that Harvard was going to lose this suit, and they should lose this suit. And I'm glad they lost the suit. And, you know, if it turns out by adopting meritocratic criteria that 50% of the student body is Asian, so be it. If it turns out that only 5% of the student body is Jewish, so be it. And if it turns out that only 5% of the student body is Black, so be it. And if it turns out that many of the people who are Black come from certain socioeconomic backgrounds, so be it. That's what meritocracy is all about. Meritocratically, we pick our surgeons, we pick our pilots, we pick our stock pickers. We don't really care much about where they came from and how much they've moved over the years. A university might take that into consideration because that's part of, one could argue, meritocracy for a university. It's not part of a meritocracy for surgeons, for pilots, and for stock pickers, or for NBA basketball players. No NBA team, certainly the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks, who are playing a great series, would never decide the starting lineup based on, well, I know you're much better, but do you know where you came from? My God, you really progressed tremendously. You haven't progressed as much as this other player, but we're going to pick you to start rather than the other player. No team that did that would be in the finals, or the Eastern Division Finals, or the Western Division Finals, or the NBA Finals. Basketball sports are precisely on the merits. Now, we have a big question. Does meritocracy also include transgender athletes? I mean, yeah, you have this track star who's running, jumping 8 feet more further than other track stars because she was born a man and is now a woman competing against women. So, even the issue of meritocracy has that. You have to decide under a meritocracy how you evaluate people based on birth, based on where they are now, et cetera. These are very, very complicated questions, and we know that President Trump is using threats against California if they don't comply with what President Trump believes is the proper interpretation of Title IX of the Civil Rights Act. And so, but meritocracy is the name of what should be the game in universities and sports, in picking surgeons, and in every other important aspect of life.